expected to be in our life, and then like slid into my DMs and was like, "You have a beautiful soul." Like, bro, no, I don't.
Let me be the swamp troll I am. That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone who's joining. Hi. I saw a very hearty hello from Alicia. Thank you, Basil. Thanks. Yeah, I tried bangs. Yeah, I got bangs. The jury is still out on if I'm going to keep them. I have a reshaping in
I love them.
4 weeks now, and so we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think it's hilarious that you think they will last for 4 weeks. I get mine cut.
I know the funny. Okay, let me tell the story of how I got the bangs. So I told her, I was like, I want to try something new, and I was like, I'm between cutting my hair off and getting bangs, and she was like, let's not cut your hair off, and so. Okay.
No, I'm pretty.
No,
sure
you did. I was talking about my
hair off.
Whatever. I was talking to her about what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. That was about me.
So,
sorry.
Craig's comment. Anyway, I'll get.
Okay, had to be that person,
Yeah.
Craig. Craig says bangs gang unite. I just want to throw this out there. In order to be a gang, you have to have 3 or more people. So you are incorrect, sir.
So anyway, the point is that whenever she started to cut them, I had a full-blown like panic about doing it. And so she was like, well, she's like, I'll just leave them long and then you can like swoop them off to the side if you really hate them. Like, I'm in the salon like panicking about this, and I'm like, oh my god! And I was like,
it's a little late now.
Like, oh my god. So that's why I'm going back in like 6 weeks, and we're gonna decide, are we gonna like keep them so they are like, you know, shorter. Anyway, that's the story. I have a hard time changing my look. I think that's the problem. I have a
This from the girl who literally dyed her hair like 70 shades darker than it was.
So I lightened it last January because I was coming out of like quarantine sadness. So in January I started like
quarantine
exactly.
sadness.
And then and then I decided in the fall, I was like, I don't really like being this light. I'm just gonna dye my hair back to its natural color. And so here we are. Anyway. How about instead of talking about my hair, we talk about this amazing gift that Meg got me. Oh my, backwards, you guys. I know, you don't have to say it. But yeah, she got me like this super sweet plaque with my social media stuff on it. It's no face.
I'm waiting for chat to be like, it's mirrored. We can't read it.
But yeah, Meg got that for me. So cool. And I know that no one can see my office, like all my stuff, but Meg was here the entire time I was making my office. She helped me like set it up and like decide what to buy for it. And so everything's rose gold, so she like matched it to like my office aesthetics. So it was like super.
Oh my god, that Meg is so thoughtful.
But it'll protect your hair from constant dyeing. Yes, dying to make the sadness go away. Yeah, you know what? And it works because I was really into it this summer. I really liked the lighter color this summer, but then fall started to come, and I was like, it's getting dark. It's time for me to be dark.
Guys, I like look at my hair. It is such garbage. I have what's called a balayage, and by that I mean like occasionally I will get a balayage in my hair, but I leave the roots dark so that I have to do the least amount of upkeep as possible. This is coming from like a decade of clinging to that platinum white blonde hair that I had as a child. So like I've just kind of accepted it now, but you know, used to be I dyed it all the time. Why are we talking about hair? I'm sorry.
We're just waiting for everyone to come in and talking about hair. I mean, I like being back to my natural color because it's so much less work. Like, I don't have to worry about roots and stuff. It's so nice. Thinking ahead. Just now I have to think about bags.
Yeah.
I am here for if people think I should keep them or get rid of them. We got 4 weeks to decide, so.
I think they're cute. They give you like a, librarian
vibe.
I'm here for that. Yeah, but it's not a bad thing to be a librarian. Librarians are intelligent and very helpful, and fun. My hairstyle is called receding. Well, that's
my dad
had cool.
Oh my gosh, my dad just tried to hang onto his hair for so long. He had the most disgusting comb over because he was trying so hard not to be bald. He's that person. It's like, dude, just get rid of it. It would look so much better. But he was. I always laughed about it because I'm like, it's terrible. Please get rid of your hair. But it was his thing.
All I'm gonna say is that in the 90s, I vividly remember both my dad and my brother having rat tails. Bray?
It was almost as bad as frosted tips. Do you remember frosted tips?
I like them, yeah. I like frosted tips too.
Oh my god. I am so ashamed.
Yeah.
Oh, Basil and I have the same style hair. Right. We're finding out. Oh. Okay, guys. Bald can be sexy. FYI.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I think so.
I totally think
Vin Diesel. Bruce Willis.
Back in the 90s.
The Rock.
You're so old. OMG. Oh my, you spring chicken, you. I know, yeah, a little bit, especially with our birthdays looming right now. Oh God.
You don't get to complete my birthday comes
literally
before
a month later. So. It's my birthday. So.
But I'm a month older.
You're a month older, so you're more decrepit than me? I don't think that's how it works. I mean...
Yeah. No, I am aging like milk. Try leaving milk out for a month past its expiration, okay? And then you tell me if I'm aging better.
I'm aging like an old haggard witch, so you're doing well.
Oh my god, besties. Okay, sorry. Jeez, guys, we're just ranting now.
Let me just have some water because we're going to have the same issue as the podcast. I was dying before we even started talking.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Oh,
okay. Man. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to So You Wanna, a show for writers by writers. We started this brand to give authors a place to chat, hang out, and just generally be. The world needs more books. It needs your books. Let us help you get them out there. I'm Elle, coffee addict, romance writer, poetry dabbler. I'm the author of the contemporary romances For the Love of Art, which was shortlisted for the 2021 Waddies. As well, this week it received a beyond amazing review on Wattpad Ambassador's Best Romances. I'm still actually at a loss for words at the kindness of it. It was really amazing. But you can check that review out. My book Read is also, as of this week, complete and binge ready. And finally, we have my holiday novella, A Very Colorful Christmas, which is cute any time of the year, so you can give that a read. But if love and sex are not your things, I do have poetry. My book, Elle, is complete and talks about having an addict for a parent and the grief of losing them. And as well, a little bit about my life growing up into the adult years through that. It also just hit 1K on Wattpad, so thank you to everyone who's checked out and read the poems. I really put a lot of myself in there, and it was really hard to, I guess, put myself out there like that, so thank you for your kindness. I also have Under the Starry Sky, which is just a collection of random poetry straight from my heart bled onto a document, so enjoy. You can
No big
follow
deal.
the links in my link tree to access all my work. And finally, just a reminder, I'm on TikTok. So I post silly, not to be taken seriously, but weirdly relatable writer life videos. Most come over here to Instagram, which, by the way, if you are not following me on Instagram, hit that follow, please. But if you are enjoying my reels,
You don't,
head
she'll
over to
take
my
it.
TikTok. There is more content over there of me being ridiculous. You can follow me at lmeredith.writes. Or you can just,
And if you forget,
it's
it's
what?
on the
Yeah,
plaque.
It's on the plaque. I love it. Biscuit
It's
is
backwards.
guarding this
You can
plaque.
figure it out.
It's beautiful. Okay.
Woo, Biscuit. Okay.
That's what I got a lot
It was a
going
lot,
on,
Elle.
okay?
I'm gonna try to
Read like the bang issues.
I'm gonna try to match it.
And this, my life is very full right
that.
now.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I got bangs.
I don't know if they look good on my face. Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, if God is Elle, that makes me Meg. Yeah. And, I wasn't going to mention food this week because I was going back and I was like kind of watching our videos, like spot checking them. And I talk a concerning amount about food. Sometimes I'm eating. But guys, I have chili waiting for me. And I am just like, I'm such a chili stan. Like, it's not even funny. Like, I want it so bad. And I made a mistake of taste testing it right before I came onto this video, so like all I can think about is that. Okay, the point is, I like food. Sorry. Yes, I know. It's nachos, pizza, chili, and
you said nachos, chili, meatloaf. Which is so funny.
Meatloaf.
Something, but anyway. I always just remember that time you were making a meatloaf and you're like, Elle, does this look cooked? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm 2,600 miles away. I don't know if that's cooked. It looked delicious, though.
I think it was. I didn't suffer any consequences for my actions, so who's to say? Anyway, guys, I am the tortured artist behind the Miranda Rights trilogy. Night Shift and Protect and Serve are out now. They're fully released. You can go and you can binge them, and then you can wait for book 3, which, spoiler alert, is called End of Watch. That drops this October. And maybe if you're a Bishop fan and you're wondering what day that is, it's hint, hint, his birthday. Read the book and then you'll know the date. Haha. I'm just kidding. Anyway, it's October 1st. Yeah. I also wrote Birds and Bullets, The Holiday Affair, and the 2021 Waddy's Placer, The Ostler's Boy. All of my work is available on Wattpad, so you can go and check me out there. I'm just Megan Alexandria, as I am here. But if you want the direct link, it is in my bio and in my highlights that say WP for Wattpad. Just a reminder, our podcast, So You Wanna, drops Tuesday, February 1st at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can already subscribe to our show if you are a Spotify member by following the link in the official So You Wanna Instagram's bio. That is at soyouwanna.write. You can also find it, we tag it like 100 times on both our pages. And don't worry, if you're an Apple or Google user, we will have our show on there from the get-go, from the beginning. There's just a few extra steps that those two programs require. Basically a couple more days processing than Anchor and Spotify, which is just straight out of the gate. So those links will be live, is the point, and you will be able to watch it, or listen to it, rather, on pretty much any device or platform that you like to listen. We are working on a website, and I know that I promise merch every week, but guys, merch is live now. I'm gonna post that link in my bio and in my story after tonight's show, but it is available to purchase, and I should have demos of them, not demos, but actual items of them here next week.
I'm so jealous
by
because it
next
takes
week's
so long
show.
for stuff to get to me.
That's yeah,
when you live in the middle of
nowhere,
nowhere,
so
what happens, people? In the middle of nowhere, Canada.
yeah. So, like I said, I'll post that in the bio and in my story after tonight's show. But first, did you know that you
We have
can
a
join
Discord?
us on Discord? Yeah. But guys, we've met so many indie authors via Discord and friends within the chat. I mean, there are people that we sprint with every single day. And it's seriously such a great space to hone in on your focus.
And I will add too, I know we get a lot of messages and stuff, people saying, oh, sorry, I haven't been active and stuff. Like, it's fine, you guys, if you join and you're not active for a little bit, that's totally fine. We're still going to be here when you come back. It's still,
yeah. I mean, we might poke you and be like, hey,
okay, but yeah,
are you
totally fine. Don't feel like you need to message us and apologize for not being around. We get it. We have lives too. Not really anymore. We do so much work for So You Wanna that pretty much my entire spare time is spent doing stuff. It's a lot.
Whose fault is that? But on top of that, writing is a creative venture, you know, and it takes so much out of you that sometimes you just get burnt out and you need that break. And no one is going to hold that against you. So it's a great space to meet friends and work with you too. All right.
I'm so excited for everything we have to offer. I can't wait for your stuff to come to show. I want to say what it is, but at the same time, I also don't want to say what it is. I want people to see it because I think it'll be so much better. But I mean, if you guys cannot wait, definitely check it out on, I think it's in your link tree probably. It's not in mine, so I'll have to get the link. But yeah, really, I mean, everything that we have to offer, it's all because of you guys. So thank you. Super grateful.
Yeah. One more thing, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our lives eventually make their way up there.
This week to get the last. This will be number 4.
Yeah. To be fair, the holiday, I did upload that and it failed because it was 2 hours long.
The point is that we'll get
try again.
The first 3 of this year up. If we can't get the holiday one up, you guys can still find it in our highlights if you guys are interested in that.
Don't forget to smash that like on the YouTube videos that are up there.
All the likes help us. So like all of our videos. All right. We've got your questions. They're actually really great this week. We got some really good ones. And of course, as always, drop questions into the chat as we go. Comments, talk about whatever, make fun of us, Craig, if you need to. But for now, do you want to get started? It's me starting.
Absolutely, I do.
As soon as I get it out of the way. All right, so we're doing plotting this week. So yeah. So I'm going to give you guys some tips for plotting your novel. So plotting a novel is actually a very daunting task. Every time I sit down in front of a blank document to plot, I get a little bit stressed. But learning to plot a novel is really important. It's probably one of the hardest things that you're actually going to learn how to do as a writer. So whether you're self-publishing or, plotting and you are going to be traditionally published, the following tips that I'm going to give you are just designed to help you along the way to doing that. So plotting is a multi-step process. There are a few different approaches and mindsets when it comes to plotting a novel. So I'm just going to run through some tips that I've found helpful to plotting my own novels. So to just kind of give you guys an idea of some things that you can do for yourselves. So the first thing I like to do is generate ideas. So obviously I find this a good first step. And I mean, everyone's different. Some like to free write and brainstorm. Others like prefer working with writing prompts and stuff like that. So whichever approach you take, the whole point is just to come up with a variety of ideas. and then choosing a strong premise that leads itself to an effective plot. So obviously for romances, we've talked about the 11-part structure. I have some plotting. No, this is my young adult. I don't have any of my plotting here. I don't have any binders around because I'm editing 6 million books right now. But yeah, but I do use like the 11-step process to kind of lay out my major plot points, and then I often between those major plot points I generate ideas of what's going to happen between to connect everything. Yeah, I do have my duotang, which has all of it, has it in here, but yeah.
Like Spider-Man meme. We just grabbed the same thing.
Anyway, Alicia has one too. Where's yours, Alicia? She's not in here, but all right. So start with a simple, compelling premise. So once you have a basic idea, you can start developing the story premise. So to do this, you kind of want to think about the theme of the novel. So every novel I write tends to work around some kind of theme. So for The Love of Art, I'm not giving away spoilers because it's right in the blurb, but it obviously centers around divorce. So that's the first thing I normally think about is what is the real life problem that I am exploring in my novel. So then you can ask yourself some simple what if questions. Like some ideas would be like, what if the boy discovers the wizard doing magic? What if a woman loses her job in the first chapter? You know, like this is all like those are kind of what if questions that you can ask yourself to help propel your plot forward. You also want to think about what are your characters' motivations in the novel. So is it to escape a captor? Is it to find the perfect partner? Is it to capture a mythical creature? Like what are they working towards, essentially? And then finally, always be able to explain the premise of your novel within a few sentences to someone. And saying it out loud will just help you erase any like extra details that don't really need to be there. Whenever you're explaining your premise to someone, they shouldn't be sitting there for like an hour listening to your premise. You should be able to just kind of like get the general gist of like, this is what my book is going to be about. Not you plot. You plot with me. That is different. You can give me the premise of your novels in a few sentences. It is very different whenever we're plotting. You go straight to like plotting.
Pretty sure I just talked to you for like 15 minutes straight about my work in progress.
Okay. Have a clear central conflict. So creating a clear central conflict will anchor your plot and give your narrative focus. So again, I'll use my own book as an example. And for The Love of Art, the central conflict was obviously Isla's feelings surrounding the end of her marriage and impending divorce. So trace out general story arc. So start to lay out a storyline. So for myself, I find I actually tend to work backwards. So I normally take the conflict and I know how it's going to hit ahead, basically. And then I work from there to figure out, okay, how are we going to get from like meeting to, you know, starting to fall in love to having a huge conflict to resolution is tends to be how I work, but everyone's different. Some people work better working from beginning to end. Yeah, that's kind of how I do it. And then build subplots. So once you have a good sense of what your main plot's going to be, this is when you would start to layer in all the extras. So sometimes subplots can be character specific. So this is a good time to think about your side characters, which we've talked about a lot, about making sure that your side characters actually have reason to be in your novel. And if there is no reason for them, or you can combine them into one character, this is the time where you're going to kind of try and figure that out so that you just don't have extra characters that aren't meaningful. And also just keep in mind, good subplots weave seamlessly into the main plot. Like we almost don't even realize that there's something else. Yeah. Separate, so think about cause and effect. Good stories involve a logical series of events that progress into the next. So make sure that your scenes are each motivated by something and preceded by something. So, and a good driving narrative should feel dynamic. A plot should progress forward because of tangible story elements, like a character's motivation or actions that propel it. So if you look at your story arc as a sequence of events, there should be logical progression from beginning to end. You can consider writing a detailed outline. I know this doesn't work for everyone, and that's totally fine, but sometimes a detailed outline is helpful with keeping on track for some people. So if you find that maybe you're not keeping on track very well, writing it out a little bit more, like a little bit more can be helpful. I know for myself, if I get really stuck, I will actually sit down and I'll plan out like, okay, what should chapter 6 be about? What should chapter 7 be about? What should and that sometimes helps me whenever I get really stuck or I get really bad writer's block. Sometimes just breaking it down further than what I have it helps. So something to consider. Again, it's not 100% like necessary to do.
I mean, if you're like me, your outlines are going to be like crazy long, and they'll, I mean, not really, but 5 to 10,000 words, because in every section, you write down bits of dialogue that you want to happen at this point. Especially if you subscribe to Chekhov's gun theory, where you are pulling things back from the first act,
Yeah.
So don't be ashamed is the point.
Yeah, like I said, if I had better, I mean, I do have a book plotted here. It's just plotted on a different structure, but like, I mean, this is just like the initial start. I forget how many pages it is, but it's size 8 font, and it's like, I don't know, I think it's about 10 pages, size 8 font.
Ooh, size 8. What is wrong with you?
I'm in here.
Yeah,
okay.
Clearly.
But the point is that that's just like my first one. They'll probably end up getting like loose leaf paper in here with me handwriting stuff down. Like this is just like the very beginnings of a novel.
Like leave my office and all my binders are somewhere else.
Because I'm still waiting about a table, trying to figure out a table situation. Anyway, that's a whole story. So tying up loose ends. Once you have a detailed outline, if you choose to do that, it's actually a good time to check if you have any loose ends that maybe will leave readers wondering, like, well, what happened to this character? What happened in this situation? What happened to that? So this will just help you fill in any plot holes that might come along. And editing is also where you're probably going to see this too, which we have a whole video on editing, and that is up on YouTube. Yeah, we do have a video on editing. I was like, wait, am I lying? We do. We do.
No, we do. I believe I'm wearing this
red shirt. Really good. I remember because you told me to wear the orange shirt that day, and I tried to curl my hair, and it went like flat because it was so hot out, and I was just sweating.
The point is, goes up.
Like, just look for sweat and red or pink, and you'll find the video. Attractive.
Watch our show. We're fun.
Okay, anyway, so editing is also where you will fill plot holes, and it's very important in writing. Just to let everyone know, please edit. Yeah, and then just don't neglect character development. Also something we have a video on. I think it's like the very first video on YouTube, actually. It was the second thing we did was character development.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
because fantasy was 3. Yeah.
And sex was 4. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So character development is obviously very important in your story. Characters are very important in your story. So when you start writing, you should make sure that you know all your characters really well. You know their arcs, you know their purpose, you know their motivations, that you just know everything about them. So that whenever you are plotting your book, everything that happens in the book obviously makes sense, and also it will help keep it more realistic.
I do want to preface that because the way that it came out, not how we intended, but the way that it came out when I heard it, was that you have to know that stuff before you start writing, and you don't. You can actually figure that out as you go. So a lot of people will never finish a book because they spend too much time just thinking about all the details. And I will tell you right now, tried and true, every single book I write, there are details about my characters that I just discover along the way. Think about your writing as, you know, meeting new people. You aren't going to know everything about them at face value, but as you get to spend time with them and know them and experience things with them, new things are going to come to light. So you don't have, and I know this is a plotting episode, so I do want to stress that you do not have to know everything when you start.
Yeah, you should.
But you should.
I will say you should know their motivation because, like, that is very important.
Yeah, you should know that.
Do you need to know, like, when their birthday is when you first make them? Maybe not. It just depends on who you are.
Okay, well, I feel attacked.
But yeah. And Alicia says that her plotting book is on her desk. So, yay! I'm glad that it works and that you like it and you have it on your desk. I feel special.
Good. Okay, guys, let's talk about the 3 types of writers. We have the pantster, we have the planster, and we have the plotter. What are those? Okay, so not everyone is a plotter, and that's okay. There are all types of writers, and most of us fall into those 3 categories of, you know, pantster, plotter, and planster. Which, just to break them down, a pantster flies by the seat of their pants and just writes as they go, and they come up with everything. A plotter sits down and writes their outline. It's probably very heavily detailed. And then you have a planster, which falls somewhere in between, where they probably have a loose outline or an outline. Maybe it's even rigid at the beginning, and then as they go and write, things change and they adapt the skeleton. Yeah. So there's really no right or wrong way to approaching your plotting of your process, right? But I do want to talk. I do want to talk a little more in depth about them because I feel like finding out who you are as a writer is going to help you overcome obstacles that you might run into and not even realize you're running into in your plotting style. So let's start with pantsters. So like I said, this person is someone who just flies by the seats of their pants and they don't plan anything about the story, or they plan very little. And that's okay. Freedom is for everyone. It's important, especially to pantsters. So they don't need to rely on that detailed outline because in fact their writing style is just, you know, get that first draft out and it's like a discovery of the story as they write it. And they like to get lost in their story. They like to let the main character and their imagination lead them to kind of like a surprising finish. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty psychotic. Just kidding. But, you know, it works. I say that jokingly because I am a planster. But let's move on to plotters. So simply put, as I said, this is someone who plans their novel probably almost completely before they write it. There are various levels of plotters, I will say. But regardless, outlining the novel is extremely important to the writers. So it's essential to their process, and it's what they feel keeps their story flowing properly. It keeps the pacing going, and it's essential to getting to the completed manuscript. Plotters value knowing what's going to happen in their story before they write it, and they want clarity. A plan gives them the energy and intention, and it saves them a lot of time when they do go to write their book. So about in between those two are what I just identified myself as, are the plansters. And so that's just basically, a Frankenstein combination of I got there of those two. So some people like me call themselves plansters, and that just means that you know we like the best of both worlds. I don't know. We usually they lean heavily to more than one side. So like someone's a planster and they don't outline, but they do have an idea like in their head where they're going, or somebody is, a planster and they lean towards the outlining where they have it, but then it changes as it goes, as I said I did. But yeah, it's basically someone who comes up with and knows the important details that will drive the story, but they're pretty flexible and open to kind of how that's going to go from A to B. And this kind of writer enjoys planning out their subplots and their character arcs. But during writing the novel, these ideas tend to go rogue. And maybe even entire chunks of the story change. But yeah, I mean, it's like having the taste of flying by the seat of your pants without being like fully committed to like the reign of terror that are pansters. I'm just kidding. I love all writers.
Please join our Discord, everyone.
Yeah, I'm the mean one. Sorry. Okay, so panster pros and cons. The pros are pansters have the freedom to take their novel in any direction they want. They love a blank page. They thrive on the thrill of ideas as they come to life. They, and as they type, like it just flows out of them. They have flexibility. They're not stuck following an outline. And if they don't like a character, they just get rid of them. They can kill them, right? If they don't like the way their plot is going, they can change it. Cons. Okay, so however, having no plan or very little plan makes it easier to get stuck. I'm not saying that every panster out there is going to get stuck. I've known people who can write 30,000 words in one sitting and not be daunted by pacing.
30K words, do they just like not sleep?
Okay.
They just take like a caffeine.
I mean, the quantum vision of that. Like one sitting being like 1 week or whatever, whenever that inspiration is flowing. Not in like
that is
a 27-hour sprint. I feel like there are those people too, though.
Please join our Discord. Because we're insulting right now.
Yeah. But like there's all types of artists out there, okay? But after they get stuck, it's easier to get stuck. Not saying it does happen, because I get stuck all the time where I'm at, and Elle gets stuck all the time where she's at in the plotting side, but then you kind of have to come up with a way to dig yourself out of that writer's block rather than, have that, I guess, safety net of going back to your outline that will steer you back in the right direction. So I've known some pansters will abandon old projects for new ones, and then, they leave multiple unfinished projects before they go back to them, like there's nothing wrong with that. But, that makes me anxious as a
very anxious about your books.
I'm just saying, when I start a project, I like to see it finished. And I'm very like, okay, this is the deadline that I have it by. I will have it done by. So, and I know where I'm at in that. So I wish I could be as like free and flexible as, somebody who doesn't have that part of their brain like telling them, no, it has to be done right now. Because I feel like it would be much happier and less stressed. But, it's just personality types. Again, 1,000 ways to skin a cat. No wrong way. Yeah. Why do I keep saying that? So yeah. Sorry. So plotter, pros and cons, right? Um, Plotters have their novel planned out ahead of time. They know what's going to happen before they write it. This makes it easier to bust writer's block because they could just look over there and say, hey, this is what I have here, and hey, I have here. It's harder to get stuck when you know what's going to happen next. And plotters tend to write their novels faster, usually, or at the very least, smoothly. The cons is that being a plotter, you are pretty much confined in your plans. If you do get stuck and you want to change something, sometimes it can feel like you have to redo the entire outline. And then redoing the outline is not fun. It is a lot of work. And, these people tend to be more, I don't want to say rigid again, but type A, where everything has to be perfectionist, So that can just be really overwhelming. And then you can easily abandon projects because of that. Writing is hard, guys. But remember, writers take many, many forms. And, pretty much all writers fall into one of these types of the pantser, the planster, or the plotter. There's advantages and disadvantages, I'm sure 1,000 that I haven't mentioned for both. For all types of writing styles, you just have to find what speaks to you, what feels right to you, between the type of writer you are, the type of writer you want to be, and just recognizing the, I guess, things that you struggle with and how you can curb them. For me, I would say that I used to be, I know I diss them a lot here, but I used to be kind of a pantser. More of the, I knew ideas of what I was doing, but not like precise moments, that I had, mapped out. But when I kind of made the switch to outlining, for me, it really focused me and it allowed me to kind of work faster because I can jump around easier. You don't have to really lose your place. So, again, no right or wrong way to do it, just different. Find your way to get
Earlier, what you said about being like a planster, that everyone's kind of a planster, but everyone falls like one way or the other, is really true. Because for myself, like, obviously, I'm very much a plotter in the sense that, like, I want to know the major plot points that I'm working towards, but I'm pretty open about how to get there. Because I know when I was writing One Last Night for Nano, I got really stuck about something and I had an idea and then I was like, oh, I just don't like this anymore. And you and I kind of came up with a new idea, not wanting to give anything away because it's coming out soon. But yeah, so so I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm definitely more towards the plotter side, but I can kind of pants it a little bit. So Basil wrote in here, and I just want to acknowledge what he said because it's actually really really interesting. So he said, tried Pantster, took 10 years to write because it kept changing, but plotting was too boring and the characters suffered because they served the plot rather than a character driven plot. And so then, like, being a planster with a well created antagonist is like the Goldilocks zone. And so I really agree. And I think, I mean, I'm pretty rigid in my plotting in the sense of, like, I like to try and keep my major plot points where I have them, but definitely the road to getting there, I'm pretty fluid about, and I can, as Meg would say, there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat.
Okay, I've said that like 10,000 times in my lifetime. It's not like it's my motto.
You said it when we were recording our podcast yesterday.
Yeah. I sure did. Yeah. I will say, just as an example for people, again, I know I was kind of harsh on pansters and really didn't mean to be, but yeah, as a recovering panster myself, just kidding. But the Miranda Rights night shift took me 2.5 years to write and edit and finish and publish. And then, you look at some of my other work. The Osler's Boy took me 4 months, and that was the first one that I actually outlined. And the Holiday Affair took me 13 days to completely write and edit and publish. And then NaNoWriMo I finished in 17 days, which was Protect and Serve. And now I'm working on the Osler's Boy 2, and it's if I hadn't taken a week off, I probably could have finished it in 2 weeks. So there really is something to be said about plotting. If you haven't tried it before, you might see if it works for you, because again, this is very much just giving you the tools for your low bat belt there. You might be surprised, because I was very surprised at how well outlining worked for me. I was really intimidated by it. Yeah. And then, she says you're welcome, but it's true. I met Elle, and Elle said, I have this formula for writing books. It's an 11-step process, and I think you should try it. And I did, and it worked really well. Basil asked, how so quick? Emotional.
I like how you just refer to my reel as like me being like, I'm just emotionally damaged. That's why I write amazing Black moments.
Yeah.
Left England.
For me, I am able to produce that, knock on wood, produce things quickly because I have a detailed outline and I can look at it. And by detailed outline, I mean I have the, 11-step process here. I'm a romance writer, so I have the 11-step process here that says, like, okay, this is what you want. I actually have a Google Doc that is just the base outline of that I copy and create a new document every time I start a new project. I go through, type the title. Elle actually made this skeleton for us, so type the schedule, or I type the title up at the top, I type the synopsis, and then I go through the meet cute, the rejecting of the relationship, the everything. So
can you tell we recorded romance yesterday because we still know them off the top of our head?
Yeah. And so when I'm in there, like, I can just real fast, well, I probably won't pull it up because they're crazy, but when I'm in there where it says the meet cute, I'll say Savannah meets such and such in the market, and this is what I'm using, da da da. So the Osler's Boy series is very imagery driven, so I'll put in there, things I want to see. Roses, apples, and like their meanings and stuff. And so then as I'm writing, I'm just basically going back and forth between this. And it's, I've got the dialogue clips in there and the themes and the feelings I want to emote. So it's easier for me to write like that because I'm psychotically detailed, I guess. And then the other big thing is, and I'm trying not to be long-winded here, guys, I'm so sorry, but I would invest in a planner. Because, I have like so many of these lying around, but if you have a planner and you say, like, look, I have tabs in the sides here, and every tab there is a book that I'm publishing. So, well, that's some serious spoilers, but every tab here has a book that I'm publishing, and so I can go straight to it, and for that month I have, okay, this is when I need to have the draft done by. This is when I need to have the edits made. This is when I want Senya, who is my artist for all my covers, when I need to order and when I need the cover by. This is when I need to do ads, so I just find that those tools and that rigidness. I'm a writer. Um, help
I
me.
mean, I will say, like,
So
I obviously I follow the same plot stuff as Meg because I, did it up. But I definitely don't write as fast as her. I think it's just I also think it's also just dependent on the writer. Like sometimes if I'm really inspired, I'll knock out a ton of words. Other times I'm,
yeah, inspiration is a
really
big thing.
slow. For the love of art, that took me so long to write, even though I've known that story since I was like in university. It's something I've thought about writing, which is weird because like, why is a 21-year-old thinking about divorce? I'm not even married, but okay.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, and but it took me how long to write it, and even when I wrote it last year, it took me longer than I had originally planned to write it. I took some unexpected time off in June, and and so it's everyone's just kind of different, and like you just kind of have to go with your own flow. I think a little bit too. Like don't compare yourself to other authors. Like you get done what you can get done. I always say though, if you are putting out a due date or a publishing date and you're letting people know like, yes, this is going to be available here, make sure. That's the only thing I will say. Set personal goals, but if you put them out into the universe, you need to meet them.
Yeah, otherwise you're not going to be reliable. So if you're crazy like me, you can put the due dates out there and tell people and announce them on your show every Sunday. So then you have,
I have not announced.
To produce.
Oh no, I did last night on my Instagram.
I was well under pressure. Yeah, I will say that I can't write every single book super fast. I can't do every single book in 13 days. There's a reason that Protect and Serve took me 5 days more than The Holiday Affair, yeah,
I mean, I wrote a very caloric Christmas pretty fast, and I pantsed that completely. Yeah. I sure did pants that.
Yeah. It's really a lot of inspiration. And my best advice would be that if you feel inspired,
I've actually like even this year.
I was just telling my friend the other day that I have an idea in my brain forming. Okay, I can feel it happening. I don't know what it is yet, but it's there, and I've wanted to write it for a while. I know that it's a Regency, and I know some of the themes in it, but I don't know exactly what the story is yet, what the meaning of it is yet. So I'm still getting there, but I can feel it brewing back there. And I'm currently working on Of Swords and Horses, which is the second book to The Ostler's Boy. And I'm very close to finishing that. And I actually finished the first draft today, and I'm moving into edits. But this other idea is like there. I know that is going to show up soon, and hopefully it doesn't like fizzle off and stuff. But when it does, I will work on that project rather than focusing on something where my heart is not at. That is what I find gives me the best results is when I am inspired, I work on that project.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say, like, Meg and I, we kind of planned out our year together. There's a whole reel on it, by the way, just to let you guys know. You can check it out. I have mine too, but I'm not as psychotic as Meg. I don't put tabs. So the point is that
I'm unwell.
We kind of have like our idea of when we want to publish stuff, and we've told each other, and a lot of that's to keep like having someone who keeps you accountable and is going to say, hey, you know what, like I know that you wanted to publish this here, where are you at, is actually really helpful for me. I cannot say how stressful the last 2 weeks of my life have been, and it's been so helpful having Meg here who's like reminding me like, hey, don't forget like you have this that you want to accomplish, because it takes me out of my own head to begin with, and it also just reminds me like I do have things to help me de-stress and stuff like that, because it's been a very long 2 weeks for me. And so having someone who does that, and also I am not afraid to change dates and like switch up what I'm writing. So if I said to Meg like, oh hey, like this summer I want to publish this, I might change my mind if I'm feeling super inspired by something else, which I actually kind of have switched stuff up a little bit already. because I'm just feeling more inspired in one direction. And so like that's okay too. So I would say always go with inspiration, and that's how you're gonna get the most work out.
Yeah.
And how you're gonna produce like your best.
I'm gonna show you guys that I actually have Elle's
Don't give
deadlines
away any
marked in my
spoilers
books here, but that would be major spoiler, so I'm not gonna. But you know, again, agendas they help.
Too, but
I would recommend having one separate for your writing.
Yeah. I also have all of our shows.
Yeah, all the shows are in there too. But
question. Get to our question.
Anyway, yeah. And not to be that person, but I'm gonna go through these kind of quicker than usual because chili. Yes.
Balls, so
we get back to questions.
I have a delicious dinner for myself planned. Hey guys!
All right. So, how do we know when to stop plotting and overthinking and actually start writing?
Overthinking.
For me, I'm gonna. Yeah. If you have to ask that question, no. What I'm gonna say is, if you're gonna outline. If you're not, just start writing. You know, like Elle said, you don't need to know your character's birth dates unless you're working in a book like where that stuff matters. So like the Miranda Rice trilogy is all about magic. Yeah. I use astrology, surprise, surprise, quite often in the book. So like, I had to know that information.
You probably didn't know exactly, you know, what day they were born on and what time and all that kind of stuff, right?
That is a bad example because they mention his birthday. But the point is, you know, yes. But that I just made up on the spot, you know.
It wasn't like integral to the actual story and how it functioned and stuff, the way that it does.
My advice would be to start writing, and if you can, especially if you can join a Discord, sprinting helps so much. And the reason why I suggest Discord is because there's this robot called Sprinto that you can activate that will keep track of your word count and time you, and your friends can join in and everything. There's a lot of things that it can do. I just find that really helpful. Like, you don't have to remind yourself to set a timer or be startled by the quacking that iPhone chose as the sound when it goes off. That's not a real story.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Sometimes I will say, like, sometimes it's just about sitting down writing. If you're like, I find for myself, if I am finding myself in my head and starting to get imposter syndrome, especially where I'm like, I can't write this, like this is crazy. That's when I know it's probably time to stop planning and start writing and just see where the scene takes me and where the character takes me. And if I really get super stuck, having friends or someone who's willing to read your work or answer your questions. Like, I have people in my life who have been really helpful, especially with Reed. I found Reed really difficult to write for a myriad of reasons, the biggest one being that he was a man. And so having people in my life who are willing to help me with that side of it especially really helped me get out of my head and out of this whole idea that, like, I can't write a male perspective. And so that is something else to consider. And just take people's ideas and run with them too. Like, don't try and sit on those ideas and then overthink those ideas. I find, like, if Meg gives me an idea, I say, okay, and I write it and I see if it fits. So, bye, Basil.
Bye, Basil.
Okay, tell us about your plotting process. We kind of did. we use the 11.
Yeah. Just recap, outlined it, and we use the 11-step process. If you listen to our podcast, we do tell you, and we did in the romance YouTube and live here, you can bend the rules of that structure. You know, you're not rigidly stuck to this, and this. You can make it work for you. So yeah, that's my process. I whip out that structure. I look at it. I type what I want to happen, and I add anything that comes to mind. Details, imagery, themes, questions, color schemes, because I work a lot with psychology, color, you know. aesthetics, character names, even titles, just random stuff, dialogue especially.
I will also add,
that
like,
comes in there.
this is my young adult romance, and I don't want to give too much away. Luckily, it's backwards, but like, I also work with, yeah, I'm a bit psychotic too, I guess. Like, these are my breaks that I created in my chapter, and that's neither here nor there. But I also have like the full breakdowns here. So like the hook, what this section I'm trying to accomplish in this section, I write it there. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Just like I plot my young adult a little bit different than I plot my adult romance, simply because like I find for myself it's a lot of it's just making sure I'm getting the right perspective when I'm writing a young adult, because it feels a little different than writing an adult romance, because I am in that age range, the growing old swamp troll I am looming.
As somebody already told us, we were all
we know the 90s. So yeah. Anyway, do you recommend plotting or pantsing as well? I recommend doing whatever works for you to get your book done. Whatever works for you. Yeah. As we said, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. I know plenty of successful pansters. There are pansters that I envy that write so much, you know. And
I know who we had on last week, and she's amazing books. Yeah. So yeah, don't feel like you have to plot. You just need to get the project done.
Yeah. No, and don't take my teasing seriously. Like, I believe in all types of writing, you know, all creative endeavors. I believe in you. All right. When you plot your book, do you plan your characters at the same time? So a lot for me, my characters develop as I'm going. I know like who they are and their motivations, and I know like clips of things like how they talk and why they talk that way, where they're from, their birthdays, you know. But they really take form as I write. That's why I always say,
I feel like I often kind of know my characters in the sense of like, I know what they look like. I know, you know, kind of what drives them. I know what their goals in life are. Like, I know I know a bit about them. And normally my ideas often come with character. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I get an idea and it just kind of comes with the characters kind of come with that idea. Yeah. So yeah. Like with my series. Oh, thanks, Katrina. Also, or what was I saying? I just lost my train of thought. With my series, for example, like I had a very general idea of what I wanted my series to be, but I instantly knew exactly who all the men were going to be. Not necessarily their jobs, but I knew exactly like who was who and like all this kind of stuff. I could very vividly see them in my mind. So Skies asked, what was that about the 90s? We were made fun of for being alive in the 90s.
During the 90s.
We're old, and we were just joking too about how we have looming birthdays coming.
I don't care. We had this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I want. Okay, I'm not gonna go.
You're welcome. What are the genres that have different plotting structures? Romance for one, but okay, yeah. So romance, mystery kind of has a different structure.
It's the same as the like. What's that called? I always forget what it's called. What's the structure called? I always call it the thing that I hated in English 12, but anyway, the basic plot structure, except it's kind of got a wavy line going up because you want clues, and then because you want clues, and what was the other thing? I have it in my notes. Yeah. Clues and the values of the clue question, because you have clue, question, clue, question, clue, question. And then on the way down is where you can kind of put red herrings and stuff like that. Yeah. But most follow the very basic like rising action or introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and then conclusion. Yeah. 90s Club is cool though. It's the best. Thank you. That's all that we
Yeah,
needed
nice,
people to
pretty
say and
badass.
realize. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, guys, our hour is up. I'm so sorry to be rushing us out here, but I do have
Just chili. Just say chili. All right, guys. Next week we're actually doing something new that we're going to start doing this year. Last year we kind of realized how burnt out I was getting because doing the research for every single show, and now that we have a show and podcast, and I do all the script writing, I do everything for that. It's a lot, and I was getting really burnt out. So we decided that once a month we would give you guys a recap of everything that we discussed this month. That way, if you missed any shows, you can come back at the end of the month and kind of just get the highlights of it. And as well, it's just a general hangout. You guys can ask us anything you want about us, about our writing, about writing in general, any questions you might have about genres or mechanisms, or helping you find other authors.
Or if you want to come back and, you know,
yeah, if you want to make fun of
for something else,
in the 90s,
you know, podcast or
you can do that. But the point is that we have so much going on now. As you guys probably heard our spiel at the beginning of the year, we're just growing a lot and a little bit faster, I think, than both of us maybe planned for in our heads. So we're trying to find ways now to help.
I'm pretty sure I told you we were going to take
but
over
I
the
did
world,
not.
So
I don't know why. But anyway, the point is that we're trying to bring you guys new stuff and take some of the pressure off of us, because just so you guys know, this brand is still Meg and I doing it all. So
yeah. There are
if
no
you'd
other
like to
employees.
sign up as an intern, please give us your resume.
Yeah. The point is, next week, come relax, hang out with us, get a recap of everything we've talked about, and preview
same
what's
time,
coming.
same place. We want to see you there. Bye.
Bye.